Hi everybody, I'm Saczyyy, and with me here is Jin, the developer of Hurricash, the I think great project which is coming to be released on Pulsechain. So hi Jin.
It.
So
How's
yeah, it's yeah, it's good. It's good. Hope you too.
Sorry, I'm bad at these.
Yeah, me either. We just like had 30 minutes problem with recording this, but finally it's working. So big
Yep.
thanks, big thanks for coming. And two things I wanted to mention first is big congrats on two things. The first is Hurricash release on Pulsechain testnet v2. And giving us, the audience, the early access to the tool so we can see how it's working. I've already tried to play with it and looks very nice. But the other thing is just a few minutes ago, before this recording, I've seen that the sacrifice phase is officially announced. So big congrats on those big steps of the journey of the Hurricash.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah. So, do you want to hear more about that?
Yeah, sure. So let us hear a few words about that, and then I just go through questions.
Right. So, as you know, if you're following Pulsechain, Richard Hart started a sacrifice phase for Pulsechain, and his whole thing was about freedom of speech on the blockchain. Now he's coming out with Pulse X, which is like a swap, like a pancake swap fork, and he's starting a sacrifice phase for that as well, and that's going to be based on freedom of movement. So my whole thing is about freedom of privacy. So when people are sacrificing, they're supporting privacy on the blockchain, and that's what my whole project is about. So it's going to be exactly like the two sacrifices Richard Hart has done. I'm not affiliated, by the way, with Richard Hart at all. I'm an individual developer, and this is my personal project here. I believe in privacy. I'd like to have privacy on Pulsechain as soon as possible. So that's why I came up with this idea here. So it's going to operate the exact same as the Pulsechain sacrifice and the Pulse X sacrifice, except one small detail is that we're only accepting stables and the native gas token for a certain amount of chains, and they're all listed on the website right now. So that's the only difference. We're going to have the same style leaderboard, same style point system. So everything should be familiar to people if they've already sacrificed for the Pulse chain sacrifice phase.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So, any links or informations which are mentioned here, I will also put in the description of this video, so you can check the list of the tokens which could be sacrificed. The link will be in the description. So, thanks for that, Jin. And about you saying that that's your personal project, but have you ever spoken to Richard? That just yeah, I'm just curious about this.
Funny enough, I have spoken to him in tweets just in the past, like small, nothing significant. You wouldn't know who I am. We haven't officially talked about anything, no. But I have been watching his videos for a long time now, since 2016, 2017. So I've followed him, read his book, big fan, and that's why I decided to build on Pulsechain.
Okay, that's great. So, one more question I'm thinking about now. What do you think about, like, I could say, the marketing about all of the Hex and Pulse community, because there's a lot of luxury things, luxury cars, Ferraris, some Louis Vuitton, good watches and stuff. That's the way, yeah, of marketing of this, and I'm not a big fan of that. Really, it annoys me. I don't like it at all, actually. But I really like Hex. I think it's great product.
Yeah.
And it's working well, so that's why on every deep I try to get some more. But what's your point of view on this, let's say, marketing thing?
Well, yeah, you can hate it, but it works. Like, there's Ty Lopez here in my garage with his Lamborghini. That stuff works, and he even says that's why he's the only reason why he's doing it is because it works. And yeah, that's as much as I'll comment on that. But you won't see me doing that. Obviously, I'd prefer to remain somewhat anonymous. I think that helps the safety of the protocol, and my own safety and everyone else's safety who uses it. So good for him for doing whatever it takes to get marketing out there. Um, and as much as you hate it, I think it's working, and the more people that use the chain, the better. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, that's probably true statement, because a lot of new people are all the time coming to the Hex community. So yeah, even if I don't like it, that's only my opinion, but it's working. I think that's a fact. Okay, so let's move on. On your Medium page, also I'll link it, of course, in description. We can read that Hurricash is here to help transact privately on the Phantom, Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, and Pulsechain networks. But as you mentioned a few hours ago, it's going only to be on Pulsechain. So in some moment, you've made that decision that this is going to be a product exclusive only for Pulsechain. Yes, am I getting this right?
Yeah, it's just gonna be on Pulsechain, and what made me decide that is I had it on Phantom. I had a bunch of uh, venture capitalists actually interview me video on Zoom, and we talked and tried to come to agreement. But some people only wanted me to be on Phantom. Some people only wanted me to be on Binance Smart Chain, and I didn't want that. I just wanted the freedom to do what I wanted. And as a solo dev, I feel like it's too much of a burden at this time to branch out to all the chains at once. I think it's better to niche down, pick one chain, get the users on board, get the protocol working, uh, get people to like it, and then possibly at a later date branch out to other chains in the future.
All right. So still there is possibility that Hurricane will spread also to other chains, right, in the future.
It's a possibility, yes. In the long term, yes. Cause really, it's not too hard to do. You just tweak some settings to change the network, and uh, have a drop down list of all the chains. It's not too intensive, but in terms of marketing and then getting liquidity for the token, of course, there's just a lot of factors behind the scenes that go into it. So I'm just really niching down on the Pulse chain for now.
Okay. Okay, that's great. So, like after a while of listening to our conversation, probably people can get some clue what Hurricash is. But in few words, what is it?
Uh, Hurricash is, simply put, privacy on the Pulse chain. You can send anonymous transactions to another address. You're breaking the on-chain link between your address and another address.
All right, great. So it just gives us privacy, which is great thing. I think it's yeah, people should have opportunity to be private while using crypto. And I think that many people still think that their transactions on blockchains are private. Could you tell us more how and why this statement is false, and uh, yeah, what's the solution Hurricash wants to implement in our crypto world?
Right. So all your transactions can be linked if you've used an exchange on ramp or even personalized use personalized apps, sorry, like OpenSea or ENS to register a domain. There's many ways to trace your Ethereum address, and bad things can happen if people find out who you are. People can come after you. Uh, you know, tax agencies, your government, depending on where you live in the world. Uh, just bad things can happen. So it's really important to have privacy.
Yeah, yeah, that's true because right to liberty for me carries with it the right to anonymity in many ways. Also in DeFi, which I would love to that it's going to spread worldwide, anonymity should be important aspect. So I just think I assume that you do it because what? Because you just want to give people the opportunity to be anonymous on Pulsechain, or is there maybe some other things why you do it?
Um, Sorry, could you ask that again?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe that was a little bit complicated. But what's the reason why you do it? It's just because you feel that you are able and want to give opportunity to Pulsechain users be anonymous, or is there any other factor? Why are you doing this?
Well, for Pulsechain specifically, yeah, because when Pulsechain launches, the Tornado Cash contract will be forked. However, the node verifier that does all the work to compute the hash and prove the person who deposited the ETH is the person who's trying to take it out, that node won't be working. So I'm speeding up the process here by making my own custom kind of protocol that doesn't require outside infrastructure, that will be far cheaper than Tornado Cash, and it'll work way better. It'll be more efficient. The more people that use it, the quicker it'll work. You won't have to wait a certain amount of time. Like as long as those rings fill up, you'll be able to move in and out of the protocol within hours rather than having to wait, days or sometimes even months if it's a big enough transaction. So um, what I'm bringing to Pulsechain is pretty special here, and uh, it's I think it's really important.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. But I also mentioned like what's the purpose? Like one day you just woke up and think that's the thing I want to achieve in my life. Uh, I have to do it. Or how did you came up with this idea? You know.
Oh, yeah, I've just been into like anonymous, like using Tor and stuff like that, and I've been playing around with stuff like that for years even, and you know, something that's really interested me is just protecting your privacy. Uh, using different tools like Tor and stuff, NordVPN, all that. Um, yeah, like I just really like cryptography at its core is really interesting too, and that combined with privacy protocols, I've just read up on the stuff growing up, and it's just really interested me. So to see how Tornado Cash worked really was something that was inspirational, and I just wanted to maybe improve on it, or perhaps even work side by side with it, just to make the blockchain a more safe space or more anonymous space.
All right, I got it. That's awesome. Yeah, and I don't know. I just have to mention some project here also because I don't know if you're into stuff like that. There's a Big Short Bets. Maybe you heard about this or not. It has pretty small community for now, so I don't think so. Big Short Bets.
Big
Have you heard?
short, big short bets. No, no.
Yeah. Yeah, so like later on we can after the recording I can tell you a few words about it, but also that's a pretty nice thing when it's coming to privacy and trading, being anonymous. If you want to have some option calls or puts, you can do it there. There's a market for this. That's awesome thing. But I think if that maybe we can speak about it some next time. But also to mention to people, there's things like this. Okay,
Okay, cool.
so yeah. So next thing is, from what I understand, Hurricash achieved these private transactions by breaking this on-chain link, right, between sender and the receiver. There are similarities with Monero and Tornado Cash, right? I assume. So can you explain us what's the main difference between those products? And why we should use Hurricash. Of course, first thing I assume is that it's going to be live with the start of Pulsechain, but what's more there and what are the differences?
Right. So Monero also uses ring signatures to produce anonymity. And so what ring signatures are essentially is there's a pool of people, right? It doesn't matter how many there are. There could be 6, there could be 8 or 12. Uh, Usually the more the better, but uh, it's strong enough that 6 is a good amount. So your picture, you have 6 people and you're all putting funds into a big pool, and now those funds get mixed around, so you don't know which is which, and then one one person will decide to take their money out of that pool, right? And they have to prove that they were part of that pool, and that's what the hash verifies. So when you're putting in that hash and taking out your funds, you're proving that you deposited to that pool. And in Tornado Cash, that is verified externally from a node, but with Hurricash, that can actually be done from within the contract, and that can be signed and then verified, and then you're able to take that fund out, and it breaks the on-chain link between when you put it in. So that's how that works. Now Monero is the same in the sense that whenever you're making a payment or even sending to another address, your transaction gets mixed in the same kind of ring structure, right? So you send from person A to person B, it gets mixed uh, between 6 different transactions in the ring, and it keeps going on as you keep sending and sending it around. So it's pretty interesting. If you want to learn more about that, I have a link on the white paper there, and it goes kind of more in detail on everything. And yeah, that What more can I
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, that's good. Please send it to me. I'll also link it in the description of this video. That would be awesome. Maybe we as DR will do some research on that, so all of you guys can get more knowledge about privacy in blockchains. Okay, that's good. So from what I understand, it just safer and better mm, than Tornado Cash because there's no any external things. Everything is inside the contract, right?
Right, so it's immutable, meaning once it's launched, it can't be changed. The code is there, and it's there forever. There are no keys. Tornado Cash, they have keys. Now they say that they've smashed or destroyed the keys, but who knows? It could be. There's been
Yeah,
rumors that it's a honeypot. They still have the keys. You don't know. But with Hurricash, there's no keys. Uh, it's immutable, and everything is on the blockchain. There's no third-party infrastructure like a node hosted on Amazon Cloud that if it goes down, the protocol becomes unusable. So it's not like that. It's there forever. It'll work forever. And yeah, I just think it's great.
yeah, that's awesome. That's very good news because yeah, we should not just believe that they're smashed their admin keys. It's better when we yeah, it's better when we just can see the open source project or product like Hurricash is. You can read all of the docs on the internet. I will link some, of course. So it's much better, and it's truly a DeFi or private project when there's no admin keys. I would say I'm not rather looking to projects where when developers have an opportunity to make changes after launching the project. I don't like it personally, and I don't like that many DeFi projects say that they're truly DeFi, even if they have admin keys. So that's not
Right.
DeFi.
Yeah, it comes down to how decentralized you are because some people can still have the keys, they can still, there's so many factors, they can still change the code. So truly decentralized, I think, means something that can't be changed. There's no admin keys, and everything is on the blockchain. So no one can, no one can mess with it. They'd have to take down the whole Ethereum virtual machine to get rid of it, and I don't see that happening
Yeah.
anytime soon.
Yeah, that's right. So I call these protocols with admin keys, which are calling themselves DeFi. I call it centralized DeFi projects because yeah, that's what I came up with to this. Okay, but once again, because I want to really truly understand it in one sentence, the biggest difference between Hurricash and Monero, because here I don't see like what's the main difference. I understand fully Tornado Cash and Hurricash, but I'm not getting uh, the Monero and Hurricash thing.
Okay, so it goes back to ring signatures, right?
Yeah,
So you're there's a pool of people, right? And Monero has this built in that when you're sending transactions, it's actually uh, from like from like a group kind of to another group for each transaction you kind of make. Uh, and with this, it's actually um, like a smart contract that you're sending funds to. Whereas with Monero, you're not sending funds to a smart contract. You're just transacting between different wallet addresses. If that makes things more
yeah,
simple to understand.
yeah. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
thanks for clarifying that. I think I get it now. That's good, as I'm not technical person, so I hope
Okay.
all of people will understand now. Right. So next thing is fees. As we know, this projects we just mentioned has pretty high fees. So here we are on Pulsechain, so the fees are going to be like very small, right?
Yeah, because just think about the supply of Pulse itself. It's like 10,000x Ethereum plus all the sacrifice phase. So we're looking at an initial very low cost for making transactions on Pulse. And that's what I think really powers this protocol, is that it will be the cheapest by far to do anonymous transactions.
All right, all right. Now I have few things, and if you can say something more about it, because I got curious when I read about them at your GitHub. So Hurricash is going to work with these few tools, I would say, anonymity sets, relayers, and anonymity mining, right? You probably mention that and how it's working, but yeah, especially anonymity mining. What do you mean by that? Because I'm not sure when I'm reading this.
Right. So basically, if you deposit funds into the protocol and you leave them there, this isn't final, this is still in the works, but what Tornado has is, if you, let's say, deposit ETH and keep it in the protocol long enough, it will actually give you incentive to be in there, right? And they'll give you Torn tokens. So you deposit ETH in the mixing protocol, you leave it there a long time, and as long as you leave it there, it's generating you Torn tokens, and it's rewarding you for using their protocol, right? So we're thinking of kind of doing the same thing, because the more users, the better, the more anonymous you are. So we need some incentive to get users to use our protocol, and I I think that's the perfect way.
All right. Thanks for that. And once again about sacrifice phase, because on the medium you mentioned that some pod partner will be there for initial launch, but then you change it into the sacrifice phase. But as I can think, it's due to that some of them wanted to only to be on some chains, and you want that freedom to decide by yourself. So is that main reason you change it into sacrifice from this initial launch with some partners?
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted total control over it. I wanted it to be totally decentralized, and I wanted the freedom to do what I want. I didn't want to be restricted by a chain or by their incentives might be more money driven than the use case itself. So, I wanted to build something that I would use myself. I wanted to build something that I thought was useful, and if I if people want to get like rich quick, they can buy an
Ah,
NFT of an ape or
yeah,
something instead. So
yeah.
this is about making something that's real and something that has a real use case, because all those forked PRC20s that are gonna come on Pulsechain for free, people are gonna want to mix those. There's a lot of responsibility that might come with holding all those PRC20s, and I for one know that I want to probably mix my stuff as fast as possible.
Yeah, I got you. Good. So, also, we already know the exact date, right, of the sacrifice. It's 5th of January, right?
Yep, so I have it down for 5th of January, and it will be at 15 UTC time. So you can go ahead, type that in Google, and it'll convert it to your local time. First day, you get rewarded 2.5 times the points, just like Pulsechain did. And then every day thereafter, it decreases by 0.1x. So that's a little different than the Pulsechain sacrifice. Another thing to mention is we are only accepting stable coins, and we are only accepting the specific EVMs listed on the website. And we'll post that back on the Gitbook as well, and as well as Twitter, so people know exactly what to do coming that date on January 5th.
Right. For sure, I will also make some video when I'm doing the sacrifice, so for Polish community, but also for all of you guys who listen this in English and not reading the Polish subtitles. So I also will show you how to do it when this day come. Yeah. Next thing I'm thinking about is tokenomics, because I've seen you posted it just few minutes before our conversation, so I haven't read it properly. But could you tell me how the economics of this token is going to be? So we just know more about it.
Right. So there's going to be a base supply airdrop to all valid Pulsechain sacrificers. So, for example, if you've sacrificed after the 19 days, it won't be valid. So if you go and sacrifice now, you won't qualify for the airdrop. And the reason we did this is because when Pulsechain launched, they did an airdrop to all the Ethereum users, actually. So we're kind of following the same model, except instead of copying the same supply of Ethereum, we're copying the same supply number as Tornado Cash, which is 10 million. So that's where we got the number from. So this will form our base supply, and then depending on how much is sacrificed after that, we'll get our total supply for the token.
All right, and the token is going to be there's going to be inflation there, or maybe it will be deflationary token, or how it's going to be.
Right, so it'll be a sorry if you can edit.
Yeah, I also told it so fast because I'm not sure about it, but it's deflationary, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So it'll be deflationary, and yeah. So I'm thinking I'm still coming up with the idea, of course, but I do want it to be a deflationary token.
That's great. So, like, the whole tokenomics isn't 100% ready yet, I assume, right?
Right, because it'll fluctuate regardless, just like how Pulsechain, their supply, even still till this day, is fluctuating because people are still sacrificing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we kind of have the same model there. Only difference, we're copying the total supply of Tornado, where they copied the total supply of ETH.
All right, I got it. So I hope that maybe we'll be able to talk about the token economics just sometime after the release of Hurry tokens, right? It's called Hurry tokens?
Yeah, it's called HUR token, just HUR for short. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So I hope we can also sit and talk about this when there's a time. We talked about marketing about Hex, and now I want to ask you about marketing of this project of Hurricash, because I would say that there's no much actions Hurricash is doing right now. Are you waiting for something for release? Or I don't know, because like there's you have a Twitter account from October this year, so pretty fresh account, but still there's like 5 tweets for now, I think. Yeah, so what's your point of view on whole marketing thing, because people somehow have to get to know the project, right?
Yeah, exactly. So right now it's kind of a hidden gem where early users are kind of gonna get rewarded, I believe. So basically, it's just testing phase for now. As you know, Pulsechain might not come out for a few months even. Who knows? It's been delayed quite a few times. Software is hard. It, things can go wrong. So um, we're in no rush to start marketing. Next on our list, I think I'll have the relayer up, hopefully before sacrifice phase. And I think after sacrifice phase kicks off, we'll really start the marketing.
All right, that's great. Some other things, just yeah, a few last questions. One of them is we already mentioned that this is like truly and fully DeFi project because there's uh, no admin keys, but is also open source, right? So we can find like anything code or any documents on your pages, right?
Right. So everything will be 100% open source at launch on the GitHub, even the landing page. We're gonna have the contracts verified, fully verified. So everything will be there, totally transparent. And yeah, if anyone needs help, even during the early days, setting up a relayer, I can help people. Uh, but but yeah, it'll be totally decentralized. Whereas Tornado Cash, they're kind of hiding their front end. They have a minified version. Uh, but yeah, we're gonna be have everything totally decentralized, so people can truly 100% trust our project.
That's great. That's awesome news. I like it personally very much. There's also on your page the tab which is called DAO. So, what are ideas about that?
Right, so we're gonna hopefully have a DAO where we have people vote with the Her token. The Her token will be used for governance to develop the future of the protocol. So, say for example, uh, we're we have some new ideas come up, right? Like I mentioned before, tunnels where we have the first keyless bridges that will actually mix your transactions while it's being bridged over. So you wouldn't have to bridge over and then mix. You could have the whole process being done as you're bridging over your tokens. So if people want to vote for that, or they could vote for us to work on, the sending arbitrary amounts instead of fixed increment amounts into the protocol. Based on a user's vote, we can choose to work on what the community thinks is important first, and then go on to do that. So that's the whole DAO situation.
Okay, so we'll be able to have some vote, right, in the governance of the project. That's a good thing. But I'm wondering now, so like when the smart contract is done, so there can be no changes. So how implementation of some new uh, attributes will go? It's like you will add something, but somehow I'm not getting this clearly.
Right. So we the way we would do that is we would have, what would you call it? The old contract, and name it the legacy contract, and still have a link to it, have it open and accessible, and then come up with a new smart contract and then have a different link for the new one, sort of like how Tornado Cash now has the Nova. We can keep the old protocol still there forever and have links up and everything, but then introduce a new protocol
Oh,
with upgrades, and have that as another option as well.
oh
And then
yeah.
over time, people can slowly merge their funds from the old legacy into the newer smart contract.
Yeah, because there will be probably some new tokens, right, on the new smart contract. So there will be some way to transfer my uh, vote power, which is her tokens, right, into the new one. Yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So uh, whatever's in the old legacy will still be there, but then there will be the option for the new, kind of like even Pancake Swap, what they did, they have, I don't know if you've noticed, they have V1 and V2 tabs. Um, so
Yeah.
so everyone slowly kind of uh, filters into the V2 over time, and it's still immutable. It's still there forever. People can still use it, but out of preference, people will tend to gravitate to the new protocol over time.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome news. Yeah. That's it will be made in this way. Okay, so actually, if you have time, that's two last questions. So first one is how many people are working right now at the project? Because when I'm doing due diligence about some project I want to invest in, I also always try to check the founders. Here, I know that you care about privacy, so there won't be LinkedIn links and stuff. But if you can say us about your team.
Yeah, so basically it just started with myself, and then I hired my girlfriend to kind of help manage the Discord and stuff like that. As we grew, I hired a friend's girlfriend to do all the design. So we have a full-time designer now. We are looking to hire two more Solidity devs. One has done work on a major protocol like Cream, a fork of Cream, actually. So really good dev. I hope to bring him on board, and then depending on how the sacrifice phase goes, we're looking at managing a few more employees, of course, for marketing. But as far as the protocol goes, yeah, it doesn't take that many devs to get things up and running. Usually in a project, you'd be surprised that one dev is doing all the heavy lifting while the others are doing smaller tasks like changing the colors of the buttons
Yeah.
or doing tweets or something like that. So essentially, like everything's there. It's what I believe is a good solid finished product. So just like Hex, like Hex is a finished product. They don't have any devs currently working on it. And I mean, it's doing fine. So uh yeah, I think we have a good future, and we we have the people we need, and if things look good in the future, we can definitely onboard more employees.
That's great. And here I have one more question. I'm wondering now. So probably some part of sacrifice phase will go to the developer team, right? So you can afford new employees, right?
Right. So the beautiful thing about a tool like the one we have is that we'll have a constant supply of cash flow uh, depending on how many people use the protocol, right? So the more people that use the protocol, the more fees we collect, and the more we're able to continue on the product. So it it's kind of a good ecosystem, because when we have a good product and more people use it, we get paid more. So we're not actually taking too much funds from I can't go into details because of legal reasons, but we're not taking too much for the dev fee at first. We're taking a very fair amount, and hopefully what incentivizes us is that the protocol works really good and people like it and people use it. And the more people that use it, that's great for us. The more we get paid and the more we get to work and improve on it. So other protocols, you know, like people make, let's say, like a Uniswap fork or something like that. Like once they've made it, it's done, right? Like they're not getting paid anymore. Really, like that's it, right? That's their funds from the initial, and then they kind of just leave it and let it die over time. In our case, we're looking to constantly improve it over time. So we get more funds and we're able to in turn make it better and work on it. So that's the thing with this project.
Yeah, okay. So I got that. So your source of income will be the fees, not the sacrifice phase. So the sacrifice phase are going also goes into I don't know, liquidity or something else. Is there any?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I hope when the tokenomics are revealed fully, I also will do research and have a few words how the full tokenomics is working when we have all of the info. So that's great. Yeah, that would be almost everything. The last question is you also posted this. It's about Tornado Cash. What do you think about Tornado Cash introducing these arbitrary amounts and shielded transfer? I was wondering about it, and I've seen also on Hurricash Discord you linked this news.
Right. So yeah, I heard about it as soon as it came out, and I tested it, and it's pretty good. You get to put in as much as you want. You're not confined to putting in, you know, 1 or 2 ETH at a time. You can put 2.5 or however much you want, and the protocol handles the rest. So that's something that I'd like to integrate. Uh, of course, that'd be on our future roadmap. That won't be anytime soon, but that's something that you can hope for going forward.
All right, great. And Hurricash, what's the minimum amount and maximum amount I can transfer?
Well, we haven't set exact numbers. Right now, the minimum is 1 and max 50 just for our test net because, as you know, the faucet only allows 1 per user per day. So we really wanted to minimize the amount. In the main net, you could imagine much bigger amounts, of course, because of the price of the coin is going to be so cheap. And once we kind of get an idea on the rough price of the coin, or a better idea rather, we'll be able to calibrate how much should be transferred with our protocol.
Yeah, right. It's also connected to the economy of the token, I think. So great. It's a pretty long conversation, I believe. Thank you very much, Jin, for coming and talking with me about your, I think, very, very great idea and about Hurricash, how it's going to work, and things that are going to happen probably in the future. Thank you very much for that, and yeah, I wish you and all of the team and the project that it's all going to be good and we can use it pretty soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.